those fears. And they have their dreams and they sit way out there and they feel so unachievable to them. They need that little push over the edge. It sounds like your book can be the help to do that.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on fears. Chapter 1, I go right in. First chapter is all about fears. And I talk about the 5 universal fears of rejection, failure, success, judgment, change. And I take them through fears and I try to make the case that even though they're real, we make them up. And if we make these fears up, we can just as easily unmake them up. So we start with fears and get people in tune to, okay, what has been keeping me stuck? I have a whole chapter on settling. It was so enlightening to me, and not necessarily always in a good way, but so enlightening to me about the many areas of my life I was settling and how I wasn't aware. So I've done a lot of studying, a lot of research, a lot of blogging, a lot of thinking about settling. And I've come to believe that so many people are settling in different areas of their lives. They're just not aware that they're settling. They're dissatisfied. They're unhappy. They wish things were different. They talk about things being different, and yet they don't take any action and they don't really put it in terms of settling. And when I was still speaking in front of live audiences, gosh, when I would just bring up the word settling, Jim, visceral effect. I could see the body language change. All of a sudden, people who are open and leaning in, crossing their legs and sitting back and crossing their arms, like it's not comfortable to think that perhaps we are settling.
Yeah.
And when we are settling, how does that impact or chip away at our confidence, our determination to succeed, our joy factor for life? And so I think settling has become pervasive. And so I try to make the point, don't give up what you want most for what you need now. So don't give up what you want most, whether it's a job, a stronger relationship, better health, more money in the bank. Don't give up what you want most for what you need now. Settling, status quo, safety, security, being risk averse. It's really fascinating when we sit back and think about these things, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's also fascinating about that is that we all have the power and the strength within to change all that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agree. I work right. Next chapter is all about the law of attraction.
I love it.
And, I found that law of attraction, not everybody gets it or believes in it, or for some people, they think it's a little so woo-woo. I mean, I believe in the law of attraction the same way I believe the world is round and that gravity exists. And so I thought I would take it from a different place, and I take them on the history of the law of attraction. Like the first time the words law of attraction were ever in print, it was by a Russian woman back in the 1800s. And then we take them through James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, and then Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and then Esther and Jerry Hicks, The Law of Attraction, and then, of course, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which really put it on the map because she was on Oprah 2 days in a row. And so learning and understanding and embracing that our thoughts create our reality is a life changer.
I just posted on my Instagram, As a Man Thinketh. It was somebody else had posted a month ago. I'm like, you know what, that's a great reminder. So I repurchased the book and read it again. It's a quick, easy read, but it's spot on. You don't need any more than that. The book I had was 40 pages, and I think what I posted is these 40 pages will change your life if you read it, right? You don't need anything else but those 40 pages.
I agree. I have a quote in a frame up here on my office from James Allen. I agree. As a Man Thinketh is profoundly life-changing. And women, just ignore the fact that it's all written in the masculine tense. In my head, I just make it as a woman thinketh. And as I read it to myself, I'm changing it to the feminine just because it makes me feel good and more, sells with me. Those 40 pages will change your life. Not only if you read it, take it in, incorporate some of what you're learning. It is a powerful little book.
Yeah, matter of fact, I told my wife, I says, hey, I know the title of this might be a turnoff to you, but you need to read this. This is a powerful book. When I was 18, Mark Victor Hansen was speaking, and I had a cassette tape from him, and his quote at the time, it stuck with me, is what you believe is what you will achieve. And it's along the same lines as what a man thinketh. I've felt that way my whole entire life, and I've always achieved, like you talked about your book, whatever I put my mind to, that's what I'm going to go do. And I don't throw it out there in the universe because I believe in the power of what we say and what we feel, that it's going to come into reality. So I don't just throw it out there lightly. Like if I say it, I better be careful what I say. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because as it relates to being driven and living your life in a way to achieve these successes or whatever it is that you're after, it's possible. It's within your soul to do it.
And words really matter. Yeah. That's what I've learned. Words really matter. And so taking charge of our thoughts, having awareness of our thoughts, having awareness of our self-talk. I have a whole segment in the book where I go into inner dialogue because I think it's so important and people aren't aware. So I question, what are the thoughts you're thinking every day that don't serve you?
Yeah.
I'm always late. I can't keep up with technology. I'm not good enough. I can never get this weight off. I'm never in a good relationship. I always have too much debt. I can never make enough money. Yeah. What are the things you're saying every day that don't serve you? Because in reality, you are defining yourself. And so the question becomes, do you want to be that person who's always late, doesn't have money in the bank, can't get the guy, can't get the job, can't get the weight off? And if the answer is no, then you must start reframing those thoughts. Now, out of fairness, depending on how old you are, those thoughts have been repeating themselves 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So starts with number one, awareness of the thought. And then a couple of tricks I offer people is find someone you love. It could be your spouse, it could be your mom, it could be your good friend. Find someone who will compassionately call you out. So if I say, oh, I'm always late, someone who would compassionately, lovingly call you out. Hey, dude, you said you didn't want to be late anymore. So having help, it supports this. Another trick is to start having stretch thoughts. So many times we can't go from I'm always late to I'm always the first person in the room. That's a big stretch for people. So perhaps we go from I'm always late to I'm very conscious of my time.
Yeah.
Or it's important to me to be on time. And we move from important to me to be on time to I'm always early. And you can make these stretch thoughts. It could be the same thing with relationships. It could be the same thing with your health. It could be the same thing with your career. It really always boils down to having awareness of what we're thinking.
Yeah, it definitely influences who you are and what you become, because you're, like you said, in your own mind, you're convincing yourself that you're that, whether that's I'm always late or I'm successful, whatever it might be. This rings in my head all the time when I talk to my clients, and that is your past doesn't define you. And it's such an easy phrase to say and to understand, but it's amazing when I say that to some people and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so true. I've allowed it to define me. And so I like to bring it up when I can. And a lot of that has to do with your thoughts too, because if you've been told something as a child, whether that was from a parent or somebody that didn't believe in you, and you carry those thoughts throughout your whole life, you can change that, because that doesn't define you. And I just want to encourage everybody that's listening to change your thought behaviors, be who you want to be, and know that your past is not defining who you are or who you're going to be.
Agree 100%. Like I said, depending on how old we are, I see this a lot in fear of success, fear of judgment. So often when we were a kid, we said something grand. Right? Like, I'm going to sell more Girl Scout cookies than anybody else, or I'm going to ride my bike to the top of that hill, or I'm going to make the lead in the school play, or I'm going to make the gymnastics team, right? Like we said something great. And the response from someone we love was something to the effect of, no, you're not. Like, what makes you think you can do that? Or boys don't do that, or girls don't do that, or nobody in our family's ever done that, or don't get bigger than your britches. Like all this stuff. And we're so young, we take it in, and that tape starts rolling, and it's up to us to stop that tape and record over it. That is a choice. Being a victim is a choice. Yeah. Being a reflection of your thoughts when you were a child is a choice. Redefining yourself who you want to be now, that is a choice as well.
It's interesting to flip that role a little bit as a parent with 2 young girls, 5 and 7. I think I'm over encouraging them some days. You are a princess, young lady. You are the smartest girl in the school. You are. I think these girls are going to grow up to be something special because I'm all about.
Of course they are.
Over enforcing them.
No, there's no such thing. My dad always told me, bless his heart, I just lost my dad a couple of years ago. And my dad always, and I hear him in my head all the time. My dad always told me, Leslie, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. Go, 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 run, run, run. Yeah.
I think that's a great piece of advice for everybody as we wrap this show up a little bit. Will you answer one more thing for me? And I just think that the timing's wonderful. We're kind of in a I don't want to say a post-COVID environment, but it seems like things are starting to come out. The sun's starting to shine a little bit brighter. But you are so full of energy and excitement. The second you got on the Zoom call, I instantly felt better. What can you tell people, your own message of hope or what people should be focused on right now as we're struggling through the final stages of this?
And I appreciate the words and I appreciate the question. I had a lot of obstacles with COVID. I mean, if you think about it, in 1 week, a year's calendar of speaking events were canceled.
Yeah.
And I had to quickly pivot. And if COVID has taught me anything, Jim, it's the importance of clarity around my core values. Like I hang on to them and I protect them. I do core value work twice a year. And COVID has just reinforced my core value of health, right? So we hear all these people say they've gained so much weight during COVID and home isolation. I started cycling.
Yeah.
I've never cycled. I'm 61. I ride 40 to 60 miles on a road bike every single weekend. Like I have never been so strong, right? So my core value of health, my core value of service. Instead of coming from fear around my business, I just thought I am going to serve to the best of my ability. So my core value of service, my core value of community, not only community with my family and my friends, but community in terms of clientele and people I work with, my core value of giving back, my core values around abundance, my core value around personal development. I mean, if I could give any advice of what keeps me up and happy, as my core values drive me, I'm in a total state of gratitude every minute of every day. Gratitude and humility. Gratitude and humility. When I get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, I'm laying in my bed, I go through a gratitude list every single morning. Whatever comes to my mind. I'm grateful for my cat. I'm grateful we're getting some rain. I'm grateful I'm going to be on Jim's podcast today. Like I just go through my mom got her second shot. So I just go through my gratitude list. And then when I come out into the living room to make some coffee, every morning I say out loud, something magical is going to happen today. I mean, I think we put ourselves, and I'm not saying bad stuff doesn't happen in my life and I don't have disappointments, I don't have betrayals, and I don't have bad things. So I've been through a lot of stuff, as you know. Joy is a choice. And I'm just choosing to go through whatever life throws at me and never lose my joy factor.
I love it. I couldn't said it better. I don't want to say any more because I want to leave on that note. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I know that you wanted to talk about your book, which we did, but I think that the value that you brought on top of that book is just spectacular. So thank you so much for who you are. I'm going to put a link in the show description for your book in case people want to try to find it. And again, just so happy to have you on the show today.
Jim, I appreciate it very much. Always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
This episode of The Answer is Yes brought to you by Baja Bound Insurance Services. Driving to Mexico? You can buy and print out your Mexican auto insurance policy online in minutes with their easy-to-use website. They also have great travel information